So when I first got started with my DJ career, I spent a lot of time trying to discover new music all the time, just because I thought that's what good DJs did. And I think it works well for the clubs, but in the wedding private event space, it doesn't apply well. Because I spent all this time, looking at the charts, seeing what's charting every month that's coming out new, listening to different Apple Music lists to figure out what's the most popular being played right now. But I'll try to pick out some of these songs that I thought would match well with the vibe of a wedding or a private event. And it just wouldn't work well. It just wouldn't work well. No response because nobody knows the song because it's brand new. And again, the clubs is a great spot to debut new music and just, freshen up sets because you got new music to play. But in weddings, man, I discovered it's all about nostalgia. And I think I knew that, but it took me a while to figure it out. And eventually I went to a DJ conference in like 2021. And I was listening to this DJ speak about, discovering music for your events. And his name was DJ Digital Dave. I should say his name is DJ Digital Dave because he's still alive and thriving. And he talked about a lot on that subject. But the one thing that I really took from it was he was saying that people are more susceptible. He was saying that people enjoy the music that they grew up with more than any other era of music, generally, at least. And I was like, okay, explain. I didn't say explain, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, let me know. And he kind of just broke it down. He was like, you're more susceptible to the music that you're listening to from 10 years old to 20 years old. And the reason is because obviously before you were 10 years old, you're not really old enough to really remember what was happening in life in general, let alone what music you was listening to. And then after 20, you kind of get too bogged down with life to take the time to discover new music that you might like and different artists that are coming out. Because this is what, if you're 20, traditionally you're either graduate high school 2 years ago and already been in the working field for the last 2 years trying to make a way in the world, or you're going into your third year of college and it's getting serious. Life is getting serious and you don't got time to mess around for real. But everything in the middle from 10 to 20, it's like bliss. You're in middle school, you're discovering, you first start listening to music on the radio a little bit harder. Your parents are starting to not like the new music that's on the radio now, so of course you're rebellious. So you're taking even more of a liking to the music that's coming out. And then 11, 12, you're really listening. And you're downloading music on your iPod and you're listening to music now with headphones on your way to school. And then that process kind of continues until you don't got time for it no more after you start getting older. And I was like, when he broke that down from 10 to 20, I was thinking about when was I 10 to 20 and what do I really think about music? And if I have to answer for myself, I was born in 98. Graduated high school in 16. So I was 18 and 16, 10 years old in 2008, 20 years old in 2018. And I was like, what is significant about those years? Well, first, I feel like 2008 is like one of the best years of music all time. I was a huge T.I. fan and he was just popping. And of course I like Lil Wayne too, and he was like peak in 08. There was so much good music that I don't know if I resonated with it or understood it, but it just made sense. Like I liked the sound of what was happening in 08. Anytime before that, I feel like 07, I enjoyed 07 too, because Soulja Boy was on the scene 07. But anytime before then, I know what's hot in 06, 05, 03. I know that 50 Cent mattered a lot. It still matters a lot in the music space. But that's not what I was listening to in 08. In 08, I was like, this is the best music all time. Facts. And I remember '06 was like Chang Hang Low era, and I felt like I was getting into music more. But '08 was when I knew I liked music, and I pretty much crowned '08 as one of the best years. And from there, music kept being good. But then I got to 2018. Of course, I'm still taking the time to listen to new music and all the things. But in 18, stuff got real for me because I dropped out of college, spring break 2019, and I just had to start figuring out how to survive. So I didn't have the time or the desire to mess around with new music for real. Obviously, I knew it was happening, but it just didn't matter to me as much as before. So I'm like, yeah, '08 to 18 really has the staple of my life. And all of my favorite songs, I won't say all, most of my favorite songs to listen to all time came out during that time frame. Of course, my favorite song all time is like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, IZ. He made that in the 90s. But that's like emotional. And it means something to me, so that don't count. But like everything that I like listen to regularly, that I like, if I want to just go on a road trip, and vibe, most of the stuff that's getting played in my car is gonna be from '08 to 18, more than likely, like 80% of it. And so I'm like, bet that's gonna be the thought process of prepping for every wedding. I gotta know how old they were, because they were most susceptible to liking music from age 10 to age 20, and I have to figure out what music was out and coming out during that time frame of all of my clients' life. Easy. But there, I kind of define it as chasing nostalgia instead, because honestly, I mean, you got a 25-year-old right now in 2024. That means they were 20 years old in 2020. Yes. The COVID year. Obviously, that was a terrible year. So, like, anything after COVID, it just don't matter for them. It don't matter. For real. But then, so we'll go from 2010 to 2020. That's what they want to hear. That's what they want to hear at their wedding versus anything new that's coming out right now. And I'm not going to knock songs that are coming out right now, but I feel like the music industry hasn't even been putting out dance tracks in the last couple years. Not like the 2010s. But I don't blame them. Like, that's where the party music was. That was the 2000s, 2010, early 2010s. That was a party vibe in general. Like, they was just popping. It was the recession. People want to have a good time regardless. So why not? That don't matter. That don't have nothing to do with this conversation. Jeez. All in all, with all that said, I eventually, after the conference, I was convinced, okay, no more chasing new music. I need to chase nostalgia. And I think nostalgia has two different meanings. Obviously, the throwbacks is the most popular. It's the form of nostalgia that I'm talking about right now. The music that you grew up listening to and liking. Those are the throwbacks. Throwback nostalgia. But then I think there's a second form of nostalgia, and I'll call it the classics. And it's the nostalgia that your parents experienced when they were growing up from 10 to 20. Obviously, you weren't thought of when they were 10 to 20 years old. Maybe you would, I mean, if you got parents that had you at 18, sure. You were thought of, but still, I mean, it wasn't your time. It was their time. They was having a blast. And the only reason I'm putting them in this conversation, because as a wedding DJ, as a private event DJ, the demographic of guests that are at the events is everywhere. You can have children there, infants. You can have infants there. And you can have 99-year-old grandmas there as well. Obviously, the majority of people are going to be early 20s. And your friend group is going to be around your age from mid-20s, 30s, or however old you are. And then you're also going to have your parents' era of people and their friends and their family, your family that's just older. Your elders, essentially. And that's going to be, the 50 to 60 range, and they listen to something more different than you. And I think that era of the parent generation matters just as much. I won't say just as much, but the parent generation holds a lot of weight just like how the younger generation, the people that are around the bride's age or the groom's age as well, because I mean, they're coming to the wedding to have a good time too. And a lot of clients, they want everybody attending. Most clients, they desire for everybody to get something out of it and enjoy themselves for the most part. Obviously, they want to hear more of their stuff than anything else, but they understand that we got to please the older generation as well. So that's why I'm adding them in here. So there's two forms of nostalgia that you have to chase. You have to chase the throwbacks, and you have to chase the classics. Hope that makes sense. And there are different ways to chase nostalgia. The best way, in my opinion, the thing that's helped me out the most is studying request lists. I mean, sure, you work with a client, you get a list from them, bam, and it's stuff that they like and they grew up listening to. Bam, you see the trend. You see the trend from all your clients, because if you got clients that are in similar ages, they're requesting basically the same music, same type of music, same eras, and you'll see duplicates all the time, just the same stuff. But at the same time, you'll see the stuff that they grew up on, but of course their parents are in their ear with the request list, and their in-laws are in their ear, so they're also going to be like, I'm going to throw in a nugget for my parents as well on the request list. And you might see a pattern there where you're seeing newer songs, which are throwback songs from 10, 15 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. And then you're seeing songs that are 30 years old. And that's this music that their parents liked when they were 10 to 20. Really, that's what people gravitate towards. The music that they were listening to growing up is what they gravitate towards. So I use those request lists and I study them because they get similar and they give you insight on what's happening. Facts. And then you can play the request list and see what people respond to most of the time. Obviously, if a request doesn't work at the wedding or the event that it was requested for, then maybe you just throw it out. But if the request works for the event that requested it, bet. We're going to save those songs and we're going to try them at the next event, because the next client is going to be a similar client, but they're not going to be exactly the same. And so they might have not necessarily requested it, but they requested songs that are similar. So you could still play around with their requests, but also play around with the previous request to see if it works. If it works, if the requests that worked at this wedding now are also working at this other wedding, and that cycle continues, you need to put those in a wedding list and say that's a banger for most of my events. And that's a way that you chase nostalgia. You study the request list that you're getting, because the people are gonna tell you what they want to hear, and they're gonna probably tell you what their parents want to hear if their parents and in-laws are in their ear during the process. And it don't even got to be a request list. You got to study the requests that you get from people the day of the event. You get a request and you're like, you're not familiar with it, but it's a vibe. You listen to it in the headphones, you're like, forget it, let's try it out. And it hit, and it keep hitting at all the events that you play. It needs to be saved. It needs to be saved, and you need to continue to do that process as you go through your wedding or private event DJ business. So I think that's the best way to chase nostalgia. What other way is there to chase nostalgia? I got some notes right here. You can do online research. If you don't want to wait, obviously forget waiting. Off season is a perfect time to try to chase nostalgia. You have more time to think about it, because when you're in season, you're kind of just going from next to next and next and prepping. So it's hard to put the energy into studying the request list and making sure that no songs get left out, especially if it's a banger. But you got a lot of time in the off season. Especially if you're full-time, you're pretty much just getting ready for the next season. And so you can spend that time doing online research on looking at year-end charts, because Billboard has this year-end chart and kind of just gives you their opinion on what the top 100 songs were that year. And I'm pretty sure they do it based off of like most listened and most bought and most positive reactions from the public. I think I'm pretty sure it's some dynamic. Billboard has one, and there's other sites that have others too. So you can look at year in charts for years and start building crates based off of nostalgia that people grew up listening to, and start building those crates out for the 2010s, 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s even. I don't really know if you gotta go back to the 70s for real. Our clients are getting younger, so that means music is dying. Like the Elvis generation, the 60s, we're not playing 60s music no more. Not for real. That's like the grandparents era, and there's not usually a lot of grandparent generation people at private events, unfortunately. So it's dying. So you don't really need to know 60s music. You can do it if you like, if it resonates with you or your clients, I guess. Do you have older clients? Maybe. Sure. I won't throw out the 60s. I won't throw out the 60s, like Ring of Fire, Elvis. Was Ring of Fire 60s or 50s? Okay, that's a tangent. It doesn't matter. You can do your research on the decades and figure out year by year what was hot, what was not. Try them out next season. And if you're not getting a good response from them, then throw them away. But if you are, then they should be a part of your crate, that your like everyday go-to crate for most events. Just as a baseline to see. If you need something to fall back on, you got it for sure. What else? Field research is also fantastic. And this basically means whatever you're doing and there's music being played, open your ears and pay attention. Like, have you ever went to a restaurant with bae? You're on a date night and you're vibing. You're really trying to talk and just grow closer to your wife. But then you just hear subtle music from the house system playing. And it piques your interest because you're like, bruh, this is a vibe. It's not always a vibe at restaurants, but sometimes a restaurant can play fantastic music and you need to have Shazam ready to snatch those songs that are playing so that you can research them before, because restaurants are only going to try to play music that people relate to. I mean, they don't want to play stuff that people don't like and turn them off from the food and give them bad reviews. So they're going to play music that they think people or their clientele is going to like to hear. And their clientele is probably your clientele in the wedding space, because your clientele, of course, your bride and groom, or your bride and bride, groom, they're probably younger, more than likely. 25 to 35 is the majority of clients that are getting married right now. But they also have parents and grandparents, and there's so many ages at weddings. Everybody is kind of your client. So I'm like, okay, restaurant, open your ears, listen to the music that's playing. If you like it, steal it. Don't steal it. You can't steal it, but take it, Shazam it, save it in your phone, and research the song later and try to throw it in your sets if you think it will work. You don't even got to think it will work, but if it's got a beat, it's fast enough, and people can dance to it, why not try it? Why not try it? In the same breath, you can go to bars, do the same thing. They kind of have the same. Bars are more probably focused on music versus restaurants, because bars are more so selling an experience with their drinks. Restaurants, drinks and food. So music probably means more to bars than restaurants, but it's basically the same thing, same process. Keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out. Keep your ears open and pay attention to what's happening. You can also go to concerts, which is fantastic. And when you go to those concerts, you can listen to the music and watch the responses of the people that are around you and see what they give a positive response to or a negative response to. Like, is a young person responding to the newer songs from the artist? Make a note. You might be able to use it in 10 years from now. Are the younger generation of people that's next to you responding to the old stuff? Make a note. Are the older people in the crowd responding to the new stuff? Make a note. Just concerts, fantastic way to do market research on what general people, regular people are responding to musically. Obviously as DJs, it's kind of hard to go to concerts a lot because, I mean, especially if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, like me, where main artists don't even really come out here, and if they do come out here, they're on the weekends, in season, by that means, in the summertime when I'm working. So when can I ever go to a concert? There's never any concerts out here in February or March or January. And if there are, I always miss them because I'm discouraged. I always miss the ones in the summertime, so I don't even look. I don't even look in the winter. And who wants to be outside in the winter in Des Moines and go to a concert and freeze from walking 5 blocks to a concert hall? Okay, I'm off my soapbox. I apologize. The last thing that I have in my notes though is movies. Oh my gosh, I love movie or TV show soundtracks because they're just curated so well to fit the emotion that they're trying to draw out of the watcher. And they're fantastic. And usually, you know, the music is either very cinematic and it's not really applicable. It's not applicable at all when it comes to, you know, DJing a dancing crowd. But also they have other tracks that are like either, hell, they're just catchy tunes that you never heard before, or they're popular tracks from a time before that you're familiar with. You don't know why you're familiar with it, but you're familiar with it. But they do that on purpose. And if it gives you a good feeling and it sounds like it could be popular, do your research on the song. Grab it, Shazam the song, and do your research and try it out at the private event that you're throwing, a wedding that you're throwing. And if it works, then keep it. But movies is a great way to chase nostalgia as well. But with that, in summary, I learned a valuable lesson a long time ago that the wedding game, the private event space game, isn't about new music. It's about nostalgic music. And nostalgic music brings out different emotions than new music. Like, new music can be emotional and fantastic, whatever. But nostalgic music, when they hear it, it's going to take them back. It's going to take them back to a time that was simpler, that they enjoyed. And they're going to attach that song with the old memory. And now you're playing that song at their wedding, so they can have old memories and new memories with a song that they've loved since they were 10 years old. So you got to chase nostalgia. It's definitely the move. If I missed anything, let me know. See you guys soon.